1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. How many licks does it take to take a pee? Anyways, it's the Lord of O.R.D, the 14 digital shaman. Part of the Loosh farm, if you will. The foot fetish, a big footery, and the sorts. Anyways, waking up from the Matrix by the vegan skeptic. By the way, that foot fetish idea came from Damien, so. Damien K-O-T. I think it's Cott. That's how you pronounce it. Damien's an interesting fellow. Polish, living in Ireland. What a combination. I should send him my email. Or send my address. Anyways, waking up from the Matrix. And so what else we got going on here? Yeah, I was looking at some entities. Some pixelated entities. Some spirits. Some things that linger in the darkness and in the trees and all around us. And probably feast upon some of them probably feast upon us. Maybe some of them actually defend us. Who the hell knows? We're in another section of in the book called the number 33 is coded everywhere, but why? Well, a big part of the Matrix is, of course, Christianity, Catholicism, the Roman state imperial religion, or whatever that's what it is. All right. Anyways, Code 33. Somebody's allegedly who never existed, egregore called JC. He is allegedly died at 33 years of age. Some even argue it's on the 33rd year. Who the hell fucking knows? Because one thing I do know when that number shows up, bad things start happening. That's what I know. Just saying, for what little I know. Some may have heard the name, the Kabbalah, before, which stands for a secretive and political organization. The name originates from Kabbalah and the Kabbalah, an ancient and widely practiced mysticism. That's not a good thing. A central belief within the Kabbalah is that God created the world with language by combining the number with the letter with the word. So the number with the letter with the word. This is expressed in the foundational text of Kabbalah, the Safar, Yetzirah, or in English, the Book of Formation. Huh. There you go. I just learned something, actually. I know of the Kabbalah, but I haven't really studied it. I find a great repulsion, for some reason, towards mysticism. In its opening paragraph, it states, in reference to God creating the world, He created His universe by three forms of expressions: numbers, letters, and words. That's right, numbers, letters, and words. In Kabbalah, the practice of coding numbers into words is known as gematria, meaning geometry in language. Gematria is very popular in Hebrew studies and in ancient Greek studies, where it is known as isopsophy. I didn't say that right. Isopsophy. If you are familiar with Revelations 13:18 from the concluding book of the unholy Bible, it is in Greek, isopsophy, isopsophy riddle. I didn't know about that. I think that's not fully true, but I think that's what in order to mess with it, they had to turn it into it. In the NIV Bible, oh my gosh, shoot, KJV folks are going to be mad. The verse reads, "This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, Nero. The number is 666. But we can't let people know that the old New Testament was actually propaganda during the Jewish wars, in which they finally they used it and then turned it into a religious text. Why? Because they're at war with the Jews. Remember, they destroyed the temple and their whole religion. Because why? The Jews believed that they had a Messiah that was going to come and save their asses, but he never did. And the funny thing is that nobody gets saved in any of those things in those stories, whether in the Old or New Testament. Just an illusion of it. And billions upon billions of others have figured over the years that they're going to be the ones who are going to be saved. Because, amazingly enough, they decided not to teach us what the actual propaganda was really about. It was about a new religion, a new state religion that is going to counter their thorn in their side, and that being the Hebrews and all these Messianic cults that sprang from it, right? But they weren't the only ones. There was other groups too. They believed that some great warrior Messiah was going to come, not in the spirit to save you for all eternity, but as a warrior. You see, and a warrior is going to fight the tyranny of the Matrix's strong arm called Rome. Of course, they were going to do a better job, but when you really look into the Old Testament, it would have been even worse under the Hebrew laws. Really. I mean, if you're a woman, you're screwed. If you're a slave, you're screwed. Basically, if you're anybody who's outside of the priestcraft, of the priest class, of the Aaronic priesthood, and all the other abominations from that, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, and the others, you know what? They lived like kings. But you were a slave. And then you get a day of rest, but you're only allowed to go so far from your house before you get arrested. You might even have your home taken and your property taken. And that's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Mind you, they still practice that kind of stuff, don't they? Just think, since then, for almost, since they created it as a state religion and then slowly forced it on all inhabitants under their strong moral arm, you know what I mean? And it's just all right. You don't just have to be Catholic, as long as you're just part of the system. You can be a Christian. You're still going to bow to Caesar. Pontifex Maximus, the strongest, most powerful monarchy in the world, never went away, even though everyone thinks it's just simply a religion. And they own your butt, by the way, along with the other fellow monarchies. They just say, oh no, they don't have the same power that they used to. It's exactly what they want you to believe. That they have no meaning. No, outside of symbology. We're far beyond that. We're so much advanced that, politically and socially and everything else, are we? You pay closer attention to what's going around. The Roman Empire, it still exists in its varying forms, right? Hey, as long as everyone's sailing this ship the same direction, brother, you can be a billionaire too. So, what do you got to do when you got this book, this collection of books, and as time goes on, it's getting outdated, and people are starting asking questions. Some of the priests are starting to read those texts and seeing all the contradictions, and they're starting to see, oh my gosh, they really blended all these other Greek and Roman gods into one and called it the Great Aegibus. But Jesus never said he was a god. Never did. But today, everyone, at least the vast majority of people believe that. That's what that book says. It don't say that. An awful lot of Christians believe that Jesus is God. But don't you worry about it, because you can be a Catholic, and therefore you can have three gods in one. And not only that, you can have a whole bunch of other gods. We'll call them saints now and shit like that. But don't worry about it. We're still covered. Everything's good. So in the meantime, then there's all this magic. And of course, magic and this mysticism is a big mindfuckery in which you will occupy your time chasing after ghosts and fantasies and dreams. And it's perfect for them, because they don't want you to actually wake up to the fact of how, or really wake up and really get pissed off and get angry about the fact that, well, you've been snookered, hoodwinked your whole damn life about just about everything. So let's carry on with the hoodwinking, shall we? The NIV. This is called wisdom. You got to remember the Old Testament. It's so blatant. The Bible, the preterist position, great Perusia. It was supposed to happen when, according to Jesus and his other disciples, and their generation. And it's so it was supposed to happen, and it's all about the destruction of the temple and of the Jews. When they talked about the devil and Jesus rustling over the body of Moses. Most people think that's literally the literal body of Moses, but if you read the New Testament all the way through, you know what? It's always the body of Christ is what? The people, the faithful believers and followers of Jesus. Do you know that? So when it comes to later on in the end of the New Testament starts talking about how the devil and Christ will wrestle over the body of Moses. Who do you think the body of Moses would be? Well, that'd be the Jews. It ain't you, and it ain't the literal body of Moses. In fact, guess who's going to be judging the Jews in the New Testament? Moses. Did you know that? Yeah. Of course, it's all figurative, and it's all about the destruction of Jerusalem. It literally, once you put that in its proper place, proper context relevancy is important. Audience relevancy, that's what it is. That's what audience relevancy. What the hell was that? Context relevancy. I didn't think I just made up something. Anyways, who the audience is, which isn't you, but man, that's why the book has turned from bad to worse, from darkness to jet blackness. That's why I call it the book of black magic, because everything that's come from this stuff, these religions, is a whole bunch of mindfuckery. And part of that is gematria. Let's get back to this. In order to start understanding the wisdom of gematria and how the English language is encoded with it, one should know about the most important gematria cipher known as the Simple Oriental English Gematria, alphabetic order, where A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so on. Counting each letter as a number using the alphabetic order up to Z, the 26th letters value being 26. There are, however, other important ciphers in gematria, and the Phrygian reduction cipher of the gematria, the Plice equals 33, Masonry equals 33, Federal equals 33, Secrecy equals 33, Order equals 33, Race War equals 33, Jesus equals 33, right? Or something equals 33. What about the Jesuits? They're up there too, or they're 50 or something like that. I can't remember anymore. Actually, I talked to Zach Hubbard, and he's going to mention. I actually interviewed him a couple of years ago. Oh yeah, let's don't forget. The gematria cipher ICU equals 33, and Hollywood equals 33. We had hundreds of 33 new cases reported of the media from basically all the countries and the United States and had many other related reports regarding the number 33 when the scam happened. Scam D happened. The human spinal column is made up of 33 vertebrae. 33 bones, I guess. Jesus supposedly died at the age of 33 and performing 33 miracles. And the word Bible equals 33 in gematria. I didn't know about the 33 miracles. Oh, that's a new one for me. Always learning something new. Then the Bible is 33. And then there's, how many books are there? There's 66 books. And that's when the Jewish war started, and the beginning of the end. And if you look, the story of Christ mirrors this exactly like Titus's. The one who actually sacked Jerusalem, his path. I can't remember which books it is. Luke? It's one of those. Mark? I can't remember. It's amazing how it's just... and of course, everybody says, well, they've altered it into new translations, and everybody reparrots that. But you know what? We really don't have anything. Even in the first, second century, anything for the third century, we really didn't have anything. We don't have anything. We had no evidence we had anything from prior to that. Do you know that? So most of all that stuff, that we believe is supposed to be written when time of Christ or just soon after, turns out most high probability is, well, only evidence we actually have at this point is that was written the 4th century. Is that what it is? 300 and something, leading up. Now, the Council of Nicaea was not responsible for putting the Bible together, but what it was is to start, Constantinople wanted to start this, Constantine wanted to start this new state religion, right? They needed one. He wanted to unify the people. It was a new strategy, something, and it worked, by the way. And then soon after, the apostle and the Roman Church in Rome, it became like, next thing you know, he became like the Caesar, Pontifex Maximus, because they realized the only way they were going to actually control the empire and the people was they had to create a belief system, a religion, something to glue people together. Now, first you have to force the shit out of it, right? You're going to have to wipe out a few generations of people and re-educate them and indoctrinate them in the reduction camps and assimilate them. But that's the point. You just don't want to completely assimilate them. You still want them to hold their different cultures, because you can use it to your advantage, you see. That's why there's so many different countries and languages just in Western Europe. And there always will be. Why? Because language barrier is a powerful thing. Plus, it helps other people in that particular group bond with each other, right? So it makes it easier, at least in the past, to have endless wars and fighting, and it's a brilliant strategy. This is not something that it just made up. This is not something that we just figured out in the past 10 years. This is something they've known forever and a day. That's why it's still around. You could talk about this stuff all day long, man. Like the Bible, all the contradictions, they left all those contradictions in there. They certainly did. They knew all about it. These are clever men. These are men with very high IQs. They've been running and ruling our butts for a day and forever, right? And that's, you know what? They realized that how important it is that in bonding, like the mafia, at the last recording, that what keeps them going, right? What's the glue? It's the secrets. Knowing the secrets. Sharing those knowledge of those secrets with the understanding of penalty of something terrible happening to you if you reveal the secrets. Where do you think organized crime got their ideas for being organized? From the Holy Scriptures. Because they're not so holy, are they? Anyways, back to this whole thing. We have, yeah. The spinal column has 33 vertebral bones. Jesus supposedly died the age 33, and some people even argue about the year 33, which of course makes no sense. Miracles, the formula of miracles, uh, and the word Bible will equal 33 in Gematria. George Washington equals 333. Foot Masonic Memorial Building in honor in Alexandria, Virginia. Now look at that. If there ever was a city and a state's name that reveals everything that you live in, Alexandria, the philosophy, the ideas and mythology of Greece. And then what we got here, Virginia. Well, the Virgin Mary. Right? They took all this Greek philosophy and Hebrew philosophy and created with a new religion. The fascinating thing is that everything in the New Testament, I mean everything to a T, and Christians are so wrong, and you watch them massage those books and try to justify them. There ain't a freaking thing in the Old Testament ever prophesied of a spiritual Messiah that's going to start some church and some out of place, heavenly land, or come back, for that matter, with a rod and iron. Yeah. Total contradictions. Everything about it. Virgin birth, totally a contradiction, and a total violation of anything that is taught in the Old Testament. Fascinating. And you think about Jesus. Jesus broke all the laws. There's no example of him keeping any of the laws. In fact, he started new laws. They look very similar to old laws from Greek mythology and Roman mythology. And of course, we can't leave out the Egyptians, right? It's so much fun when you learn this stuff. It's a little depressing, too. Because the more and more you learn this stuff, the more you know how alone you really are. And there's a lot of people that just don't want to know the truth, and they will fight you tooth and nail, even to 6 feet under, to insist that their belief system is absolutely the truth, and you must believe it or else. And they think they're serving a higher purpose, a higher cause, a greater truth. In the end, it's all a fucking lie, and they're just being used. We're all being used in this soul trap matrix. The house, the temple of the Scottish Rite headquarters in Washington, D.C. has 33 columns on the outside, at each 33 that are each 33 feet tall. Many of the American presidents are claimed to be 33rd degree or Masons, and many of them are coadjutors and servants to who else? The Jesuits and the J Crew, because they all work together. The men in black, the real men in black, the men have always been in black. You know what they'll look like? Sadducees and Pharisees and scribes and elders and rabbis and priests, right? And ministers and they're fancy garb. They're always in black. You ever notice that? For people are supposed to reveal the light to everybody, they are sure really like that color black. The highest rank of Masonry in the 33rd degree, with the symbol of double-headed eagle and its symbol are tattooed on the chest of George Floyd. Hey, by the way, that same double-headed eagle is found in, where else? Russia. Their flag. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like these guys are all working together and they're planning like everything that we're seeing. They've been working together for a greater cause. Who are they actually serving? Outside of themselves? It's either themselves, either way we're damned. Either they're serving themselves or they're serving some other entities that we can't see or aren't privy to see on every day. Hey, the Golden Gate Bridge is built on the 1933. The Twin Towers stood for 33 years, from 1968, my year I was born, and 2001. George Soros donated $33 million to Ferguson protest. Of course they did. And in the reduction Pythagorean cipher of gematria, oh my gosh, Billy swinging the gate equals 33. And he was the CEO of Microsoft for, of course, 33 years. He mentioned in the CNN interview that the C19 could grow 33% by the day if we don't shut down. He also said that the V could wipe out, I think it's the word, 33 million. Lastly, he also signed a $3.3 billion deal before. And of course, don't forget, like, there's the like the moon, the NASA, where they launched their things at 33rd degree parallel. That was that rocket, whatever they sent out into space, has 33 on it at one time. And always, you know how it is. Because they all work together. They pretend that, like, you can't be a Freemason and Catholicism, right? They don't want the average person to be that, right? But the people, the middle managers on up, they can be Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, Freemasons. They can be all sorts of shit things, as long as they're all working together with the same purpose. They're just forms of networks. It's all about networking, you see. This whole place, and if that's above, so below, and if this place is all about networking, then up there is all about networking too, I imagine. Speculation on my part, but it's a safe guess. Anyways, remember the 33,000 emails of H. Clinton deal delayed or deleted, whatever that's what it is. What about Trump's 33rd Use Defense Production Act? The 33rd Used Defense Production Act. Okay. Remember, Joe Biden mentioned how they will have a record number of 33 million of the V. I can't say these words. So the doses of the V that will be available, which he announced on March 29, 2021. And I imagine that probably has up with something. Anyways, Disney has a 33 club. China lockdown spread to 33 million people. News from Forbes. Sri Lanka flies out 33 citizens from Wuhan. 33 people coming from Nagaland. 33 countries, including Pakistan, provided medical supplies to fight the that thing, that shiny thing around the sphere, that thing that, they talk that, when you have one of those things, what do they call those things? Eclipse. Crazy that thing, you know what I mean? The crow. Nah, am I up on fire? Lululemon forced to close 33 stores in China due to the CB. 33-year-old doctor who became a hero by raising the alarm of the CB dying on CV news. CV cases. No, it goes on and on. 33 out of the okay. Yeah, all this. So going through all this stuff. I mean, that was rampant. It was so blatant. Anybody who's paying attention knew right away what the hell was going on. Which is amazing that it just goes to show that 99.9% of the rest of the people in the world were not paying attention. What about Muslims doing multiple things 33 times? For example, in Islam, a string of 99 beads that are split in three parts, 33 beads, represents each name of Allah. Poor guy, he has to have three names. While Subha consists of, that's Subha, consists of 33 beads, relate to the hadith, to a hadith that calls on, so that's what it says, hadith, calls on Muslims after they have prayed to repeat Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Meaning glorious is God 33 times. Alhamdulillah, all praise be to God 33 times. And Allahu Akbar, so Allahu Akbar, God is great 33 times. This God of 33 is a monster, I tell you that much. You're a monster. You caused nothing but pain and suffering. You should be ashamed of yourself. There is also a Mandela effect with Mr. Wolf's car plate in Pulp Fiction, where the plate number changed from MRWOLF in capital letters into 3 capital A, capital B, capital M, 581. The numerological addition of new plate number now equals 33. Illinois' director of health even tried to fake cry to cover up her laughter after she mentioned 33 confirmed cases, which is quite disgusting to say the least. Yeah, I think I remember that. In the case of Rodney King, he was also beaten up on March 3rd, 3 and 3, by the LAPD, which sums up to 33 in simple English gematria. Similarly, Tavron Martin was buried on March 3rd, 3 equals 33, and how the rioting began after Floyd's killing on East 33rd Street in Minneapolis, and that the killing officer COVID. See, I can't remember. I mean, I did a bunch of videos about this too. I first bought into this psyops. This, I've started to realize it literally is nothing but psyops on there. If you see something on the television, it's controlled opposition. So this Chauvin, Chauvn, I guess that's your pronounce him, has a surname summing up to 33. And Pythagorean, and that the Cops TV show was dropped by Paramount after its 33rd season, of course, because the George Floyd protest while Detroit was erecting a statue of RoboCop on 2020, 33 years after the 1987 film, during a time of a national discussion about defunding human police. The number 33 is a hallmark of the so-called cabal / Illuminati / Jesuits / the Roman Empire, and is a pivotal number for the kind of metaverse-like matrix stimulation we seem to live in. The 33 list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. It really does. And if I search for it, I know for a fact I can easily find and add 100 more examples here, but the real spirits who have an open mind and interest to question their reality will eventually realize that there is something wrong with the number and that perhaps it's showing up on a lot of places is not a coincidence. Along with the master number 11 and its multiplications, 33 is one of those numbers that's not leaving me alone, and I bet the same is true for many of the readers of this book. I'll get to the reason behind the synchronicity aspect and repeating numbers later in this book. The life scripts can also play into noticing more synchronicities, which I'll touch on later on. For those who pay attention, it's just obvious that the system we live inside is trying to get the attention of people, or rather the real spirits, while hinting at them that there is something going on that perhaps they need to investigate further. Sure to hell do. There's something seriously wrong with this damn place. Anybody can accept this place at all and this situation, either, I don't know, especially after 50 years, no way. Anyways, the same thing is going on with all-seeing eye that appears in the United States $1 bill, as well as many musical clips, movies, TV shows, video games, and don't forget all the Jesuit cathedrals. 33 of those Jesuit cathedrals and the all-seeing eye. In fact, the all-seeing eye is everywhere, in all sorts of religions and everything. So many clips, movies, TV shows, video games, similar cryptic hand signs that many celebrities use from all over the world also seem to wink at us and basically suggesting us to follow the white rabbit like Neo did on the movie Matrix. But not many people seem to pay attention to these signs and care about them. Yeah, and if you're a person like me, you're going to get punished for talking about this. Because I was supposed to know about this, according to them. Even after the obviously planned pandemic, along with the other 3 big pandemics that somehow happened every 100 years for the last 400 years, there are too many rabbit holes to dive to, but we'll explore later how most of them are just manipulated distraction tools set by the system so that people will get stuck in them. I'll also touch on the Matrix movie more later on, but I recommend the analysis of the movie on Wayne Bush's website beforehand. All right. Wayne Bush. Mr. Wayne Bush. I wonder why him and that girl aren't fucking doing any more shows. I wonder something bad happened. Somebody get hit on or something like that. I don't know. I think the number 33 represents how we are all in part of a massive scripted theater show that is orchestrated just to keep us in the simulation, for us to not realize our godly powers. God, that sounds so good. I really want to believe there's godly powers, but I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of pride and arrogance in all of us, and a lot of assumptions, but I don't know about godly power. But maybe there is such a thing. I know, but is astral projecting an outer body experience really godly power? Once I see the number 33 in mainstream media, it just screams psyops to me, but I also realize that these actors, possibly NPCs, which I'll talk more about later on, see these NPCs see you as NPCs. See, because they're part of the Roman Empire. They understand what the gig is. And that most of them are Jewish or Roman Catholics, or a combination thereof. And they always go to the top. Why? because they have the networks to do it. If you're not in those, if you're not in that, and the good graces of the big club, then you're like me, and you're not going to get the opportunities that you think you're going to get. Then you start to understand why hard work doesn't get you to places, because this whole shit is rigged. And they think they're doing a good job, by the way. They think they're doing the right thing, right? Because they really believe that the only true church of God is, whether it's Catholicism or Mohammedanism or Judaism or whatever ism. These people really do believe that they are right. I mean, but it just goes to show you how this whole place is total deception. When you finally realize how badly we've all been deceived, and that religion is a big part of it, along with politics and along, the television and mainstream, the mainstream media and higher education, well, the whole educational system, public school system, we're all been screwed. And you get to this point, you're just like, well, shit, am I doing anybody a favor by trying to wake them up? Or should they go back and just let them go back in their stupor? Are they better off just living in the la-la land? I don't know. I also wonder all this time if I was really doing any of this for anybody else in a human meat suit. If it was for something else, or just for my own self. Is this all just a giant ego trip on my part? Sure could be. Who the fuck knows? But then again, and people can say, oh yeah, that is what it is, but I'm sure you're having your own giant ego trip as well. Oh, not me. I just guarantee you, even a guy, if you want to know what a guy that suffered a lot, come hang out with me. You'll know what suffering is. That will not be inspiring, let's put it that way. You'll be like, shit, man, now you have to go through all this stuff just to know. I don't want to go through what this dude's going through. Hell no. Just doing the scripted or coerced part to put the people who don't realize what's going on into fear frequency that leads them to not only give away their powers, but also work them to not discover their powers. Well, it makes sense, but I don't know. I know people that have stronger egos and personalities, certain gifts, but powers. This powers everyone's been searching for a day, right? Maybe there really is power. I don't know. I sure hope there is, because I don't want to come back. I don't believe in this place. I'm sick of evil. I've had enough. I truly believe we're living in hell. I think seeing represents a number like 33 and other multiples of 11 is something that often only happens when one becomes more aware of the reality and their spiritual self. But I don't think this realization is all allowed for a benevolent reason, as I'll talk about later on when I talk about the deception behind synchronicity. Yeah, I think he's right about that. In fact, I know he's right about that. And I didn't need to read his book. Actually, I'm reading this and I agree with everything until he gets to the vegan stuff. You know what I mean? Because I already know this homework. I already know this stuff. It's all mindfuckery. The whole damn thing is. There is no resolution. There's no fighting back. There's no rebellion. There's no mass awakening, right? There really isn't. There's just, we find each other, and there's billions of us. And you know what? There could be 200 million of us that wake up. As long as the 8 billion other are in total delusion, then that's all that matters, right? And then, of course, those 200 million people in the world are waking up, in quotes, from the Matrix. We're all baffled what to do next. That's where all these other guys come in, right? Well, if you do this, you do that, right? And you're just like, see, these guys don't really know what they're doing because they're still here. I don't know how you can possibly really know how to escape this matrix as long as we're still in the meat suit. It just interferes too much. But that's what I say. Based on all the examples, I've shown that the chapter regarding the number 33, I feel like this number by itself also provides that we basically live in a simulation. Yeah. And people argue about simulation or matrix or soul trap, whatever. We're definitely in a matrix. We're definitely in some kind of simulation. And it's a simulation that's based on bullshittery. That's what it's about. Honest to God, that's what it's about. Everyone is faking it till they never make it. Isn't that amazing? Meanwhile, the luge pumps on. The topic of which is seriously talked about and debated among some scientists. There is an amazing documentary on this topic, as well with the name "A Glitch in the Matrix" 2021. It sounds. I think I already watched that. Maybe I'll watch it again just to remind myself. And then it has sources here: Scientific American confirmed we live in a simulation. Scientific America, do we live in a simulation? Changes are about 50-50. And NBC News, are we living in a simulated universe? Here's what the scientists say. So if they're all to come to the mainstream media saying simulation, we're probably not living in a simulation. That's probably the safe thing to say. We're probably not living in a simulation if NBC and Scientific America are saying that. A wire, of course, we are living in a simulation. Wired is. Andrew F. Computer code and the core of equations describing string theory. Maybe something like string theory. A lot of people say, a lot of physicists like that string theory stuff. The Gateway Project from the CIA consists of 900,000 documents and 12 million pages, and this life being a holographic simulation was also talked about in this document, which I can't get to. I think there is a reason why one of the main gatekeepers of the world, Elon Musk, has mentioned that our universe is not being a simulation, is 1 out of a billion. What Elon has mentioned that our universe not being a simulation is 1 out of a billion. I believe the Mandela effect is also another proof of our simulation. If we don't believe in it, then check out what I shared about it here. In my experience, the Mandela effect, it was happened when it first happened with me seeing a Bigfoot in my backyard, and then having 3 days of what I thought I perceived was spiritual. And the paintings in my rooms all changed and everything. It was so drastic that I took all the paintings down off my wall and threw them out. They're my paintings that I painted and drawings, and some of them that I really, yeah. I got one wild ride. That's what I got. All right. We'll get back to here. This now is that I recommend anyone to check out Mark from Forever Conscious Research channel on YouTube to take the red pill and learn the most guarded truth in this world. But I warn you, the red pill is a bitter pill to swallow, and once you know the truth, your whole perspective and experiences in this world will change. I believe after watching a few Forever Consciousness videos, where he analyzes near-death experiences. One can then better understand why there are repeating numbers and loops that are everywhere. The reason of which I believe is nothing but clues, distractions, traps, and mind games from the system. I've also once joined Mark on a video to talk about my whole awakening journey with him while talking about many of the concepts of my book with him. I've talked with Mark for 6 hours, and if you like to watch it, then just, of course, go to Mark's channel, which I have. And yeah, I agree with everything except when it comes to this. The factory wholesale slaughter of animals is awful, right? But our, we are designed the way we're designed. People argue all day long whether it should be a meat eater or not, or if that's terrible. But I know for me, that's what keeps me alive. So, if you like listening to the podcast, you can do the same thing for this channel. There is also timestamps in the video, as well as a description of the video and the top comment if you'd only like to watch a certain part. If you are an agnostic, atheist, or skeptic, freethinker, like how I used to be for 15 years, I believe the rest of the book would be more impactful for you if you first listen to my talk with Mark, so that you can realize I am not a crazy person and that I just changed my mind when better evidence presented itself, like how a skeptic would. And then that I am. So if you are a skeptic, please try to listen to my explanations of my whole journey from the video first, because I'll talk about some massive tinfoil hat spiritual conspiracies throughout this book, and it would be a shame if you ignored all of it, thinking I am a crazy delusional person. I believe that video will show you that I am capable of changing my mind when better evidence presents itself, and that I am not suffering from a mental problems. I also noticed personally that once one pays attention to the signs and symbols and is curious about them, the world starts to throw more signs and hints at them, almost for them to dig deeper. I know from falling into so many conspiracies that there are too many conspiracies to get stuck on, which is something I talk about with Mark, where I've explained how many different rabbit holes I fell for before and how and why I got out of them. Many of them I stuck on for a long time. Evolution and agnostic atheism being for 15 years, where I even had and I agree with him about the evolution thing, it's bullshit, website about those topics, and I debated many people on those topics before, and even convinced most of my family and best friends to be agnostic atheists. Some people stay stuck in different ideologies and conspiracies until the day they die, but the ones who eventually get unstuck still have to jump over a lot of different rabbit holes to get the most important one that I'll talk about in this book, so that you won't have to go through the same mistakes that could have wasted a lot of your time. By the way, by a lot, I mean it could potentially be hundreds of lifetimes and a lot for some. Not quite sure. Recently, when Mark has reached, recently when Mark had reached, it's supposed to be, or had reached 10,000 subscribers and made a celebration stream on November 5, 2022, I also joined him. And this time we have done a 10-hour stream and a panel for other followers of Mark, where we had an amazing conversation. I've dived. This got a lot of misspellings here. It's supposed to be deep, I imagine. So that's not him. Into some important deep topics, in this conversation as well. If you'd like to check it out, blah blah blah. Also, I've recently joined Mark one more time, and on his member stream. Well, I gotta have that member stream, right? I also had 2 different talks with the YouTuber Christopher Siders, which I just reached out to him, and odds are he won't reach out back to me, because I noticed people in this Soul Trap Matrix, how do I want to say that? Hangout, limited hangout, I guess it could be, still, possibly, in some form, or don't seem to reach out back, so, for whatever reason. And a lot of people, it's just like every other thing, it gets really cultish. The first talk starts at the 14th minute and 8-second mark of the video. And the second talk I did with him. I also talked to a gematria YouTuber named Net Void, as you can see here. So I didn't know about the Net Void. So, never heard of Net Void before. So that's probably a good place to stop for this, because the next section will be repeating time loops are everywhere too. So there we go. I got that out of the way. I mean, there it is. Well, thank you. This was part 5. I believe part 4, part 5. I might. Yeah, it's got to be part 5, right? All right. Of Waking Up from the Matrix, a reading commentary of it by the Vegan Skeptic.